I'm getting closer and closer to the microphone so I can be heard. So here we go. Hopefully you can hear me this morning. In today's gospel reading, Jesus is in non-Jewish territory. And a Canaanite woman approaches Jesus and starts shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David." Now let us keep in mind that the Canaanites were the traditional enemies of the Jewish people. She knows what Jews think of her people. She knows how they see her. She is deemed to be an outsider, unclean. Yet her desperation for the healing of her daughter, her desperation trumps her outsider status, and she yells, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David." She reached out to Jesus, but Jesus didn't answer. Corey, my dear man, how are you, brother? Have a seat anywhere at all. Have a seat. Okay, I'm really happy to see you, buddy. Have a seat. God bless you. She reached out to Jesus, but Jesus didn't answer. So she persisted, "Lord, help me. Lord, help me." Who are the outsiders in our community? Have you ever heard of a ministry here in Halifax called Aura? Its website describes themselves as, and I'm going to read directly here, a faith-filled community of women who embrace their vulnerability in order to lead and empower other women to find their true identity in Jesus Christ. Now, every week they offer reflections on each of the Mass readings. A couple of times a year, they offer in-person one-day retreats for women. The last one, 6 or 8 weeks ago, was actually right here in this parish church. It's a ministry that started out of St. Benedict Parish, but they now have writers from several parishes around HRM, including our own. Some of the writers are professed religious, but most are lay people. So here's an example, here's an excerpt, I should say, of a reflection on the gospel reading today from a writer by the name of Lisa. I know Lisa, and I know a little of her story, and it's perhaps why this resonated so closely with me. So now let's keep into context the gospel reading for today of an outsider approaching Jesus. And as I read these words, I just want to emphasize again, Corey, I'm so glad you came in here today and walked up the aisle because you're welcome here. I want you to know that you're a beautiful child of God and you are welcome here. And thank you. This is what Lisa writes. My word of the year is perseverance. When I look up the definition of perseverance in the dictionary, it says persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. This certainly applies to the Canaanite woman. For me, in this season, perseverance means to continue to allow the Lord to work in me, to bring past traumas into the light, and to allow Him to heal the wounds brought about by these traumas. I can honestly say that it has been tough and sometimes painful. When I think about times in the past when I have persevered, it usually has to do with running, pushing myself out the door for a long run, even though the race isn't for months away. Finally, conquering that tough hill after walking up it every other time, finishing that last kilometer of the race, even though every fiber of my being is screaming at me to stop. But in this season, Jesus is showing me a new way. Instead of pushing harder or faster, He is asking me to slow down, to be gentle with myself. He wants me to notice the subtle movements he is making in my heart. So I'm grateful for the ways the Lord persists, always reaching his hand towards me. I pray that I can humble myself enough to reach back with 3 simple words: Lord, help me. Regardless of the unique ways we all persevere, if we come to him in humility with an open heart, Jesus promises healing, whether in this life or the next. Lord, help me. There's another kind of outsider in our community that I want to bring to your attention today. Those who have previously been incarcerated. There are a couple of parishioners here in our parish, of course, who want to extend God's mercy to those who are reintegrating back into community after having spent time in prison. The model they're using, in cooperation with the Halifax Community Chaplaincy Society, is a mentorship model. A small team of 4 or 5 volunteers support one former inmate make good decisions as they reintegrate back into community. If you are interested in learning more about this ministry, Mike Coughlin. Mike, can you stand up? Mike is going to be in the foyer after the Mass to take your questions if you are interested in learning more about this. Because today's gospel is an affirmation that God's love and mercy are extended to all who call on him in faith and trust, no matter who they are or where they are. The gospel is not an invitation to a moral code, it's an invitation to a transformed life. As St. Paul wrote today to the Romans, God has imprisoned all in disobedience so that he might be merciful to all. May we reflect on this mercy that God has shown us as we encourage others to reach out to Christ and his church for mercy. Amen.